Hello viewers, happy to see you again. In this video, we are going to learn about Quit India movement and its impact. The Quit Indian movement was a civil disobedience movement launched in India in August 1942 in response to Gandhi's call for immediate independence. The All Indian Congress Committee proclaimed a mass protest demanding what Gandhiji called an ordinary British withdrawal from India. The call for determined but passive resistance appeared in his call to do or die, issued on 9th August at the Gauliya Tank Maidan in Mumbai in the year 1942. The very next day, Gandhi, Nehru, and many other leaders of Indian National Congress were arrested by the British government. Disorderly and non-violent demonstration took place throughout the country in the following days. By the middle of 1942, Japanese troops were approaching the border of India. Pressure was mounting from China and United States and Britain to solve the issue of the future status of India before the end of the war. In March 1942, the Prime Minister dispatched Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of the War Cabinet, to India to discuss the British government's draft declaration. The draft granted Indian dominant status as requested before, but after the war, but otherwise considered few changes to the British Government Act 1935. The draft was unacceptable to the Congress Working Committee, who rejected it. The failure of the Cripps mission further estranged the Congress and the British government. Gandhiji seized upon the failure of the Cripps mission, the advantage of the Japanese in Southeast Asia, and the general frustration with the British in India. He called for a volunteer British withdrawal from India from 29th April to 1st May 1942. The All Indian Congress Committee assembled in Allahabad to discuss the resolution of the working committee. Although Gandhiji was absent for the meeting, many of his points were admitted into the resolution, the most significant of them being the committee commitment toward non-violence. On 14 July 1942, the Congress Working Committee met again at Wardha and resolved that it would authorize Gandhi to take charge of the non-violent mass movement. The resolution, generally referred to as the Quit Indian Resolution, was to approved by the All Indian Congress Committee meeting in Bombay in August. On 7th to 8th August 1942, the All Indian Congress Committee met in Mumbai and ratified the Quit Indian Resolution. Gandhi called for do or die. The next day, on 9th August 1942, Gandhi, members of Congress Working Committee and other Congress leaders were arrested by the British government under the defense of Indian rule. The Working Committee, the All Indian Congress Committee, and the 4 Provincial Congress Committee were declared unlawful associations under the Criminal Law Amendment Act 1908. The assembly of public meeting were prohibited under Rule 56 of the Defense of the Indian Rule. The arrest of Gandhi and the Congress leader led to mass demonstrations throughout India. Thousands were killed and injured in the wake of the Quit Indian movement. Strikes were called in many places. The British swiftly suppressed many of these demonstrations by mass detentions. More than 10 lakh people were imprisoned, and they were called as terrorist groups and being identified and imprisoned for terrorist activities throughout the nations. The British responded to the Quit Indian movement by imprisoning almost the entire Indian National Congress leadership, including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, and Vallabhbhai Patel, without trial, and most of them were kept there till the end of the Second World War in 1945. In addition to this, the Indian National Congress was declared as an unlawful association, and its office across the country were raided and their funded were frozen. With the arrest of the main leaders, the Quit Indian movement turned violent with widespread acts of uh, riot, such as rioting of government buildings and setting them on fire. Due to the weak coordination and lack of clear action plan, the movement was wore out by 1943 and failed to have much impact on the Allied war effort. Despite its failure, the Quit Indian movement is considered significant as it made the British government realize that India was ungovernable in the long run. Post the Second World War, the question that was most prominent for the British was on how to exit India peacefully.